And now we're delighted to welcome onto the program Kim Tully, who's the CEO of Engaging Dementia. Thank you for coming on the program, Kim.
Thanks for having me, Patrick.
Engaging Dementia, it's a resource for carers, basically, isn't it? In working in the area of dementia.
Well, we do a bunch of different things, but we also look after the Irish Dementia Cafe Network, which is
Right.
a resource for people living with dementia in the community and their family members, their family carers, etc. So yeah, that's one of the things that we do.
Right. So you do all kinds of work for training carers and so on in who work with people with dementia.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'll just give you a little bit of history. We were
Absolutely. Yeah.
started
Yeah.
35 years ago this year by Sister Mary Threadgold. So she's a speech and language therapist, and she basically, while visiting nursing homes, saw that there wasn't a lot of activity for people living with late stage dementia. So she created the Sonus program, and it includes music and the senses, and she kind of created it on instinct, but her instincts were really good. And we've done research in the meanwhile to show that doing the SONUS program on a regular basis improves mood and communication and engagement for people in the later stages of dementia. So over the years, we've created other training programs, mostly for professional caregivers. We also have a conference, which is in its 17th year. So this year it's going to be in May in Athlone. And just to let people know that we do have a special rate for people living with dementia and their family members. So if they want to get any information about that, they can reach out to us. So we have a lot of different interesting topics at the conference. And then the other thing that we do is the Irish Dementia Cafe Network. So we look after setting up new cafes, trying to find people that want to set them up, and supporting the cafes that are already in existence.
Right. So before the Sonas program started, there was really a lack of anything like that in the country, was there?
Yeah, very much so. And Sister Mary says that she kind of thought that it would be replaced at some point by something else. But and there's a lot more resources now than there used to be. So I'm not saying that it's the only thing that's available now, but I think what's really lovely about the SONUS program is its simplicity. So if you do the certain things and you do them the same way, there's a repetition and kind of a routine for the person living with dementia that's very beneficial to them. And then the things that they're doing, like the music and reciting proverbs that they would know, um, using things to like sensory items, like a smell item that they smell, a taste item that they taste. It really activates parts of the brain that are there and active till even in the later stages of dementia.
Right. So engagement is at the heart of what you do, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah. And is it very noticeable over time when somebody, starts with the program? Does it quickly become apparent that there's an improvement in the way the person engages with others and all that?
Well, talking to SONUS practitioners who do it on a regular basis, um, they say that they can actually tell that the SONUS program had been run on a certain day because a lot of residents would be in a better mood that afternoon. They would be more active, you know, communicating more, interacting with their world more. So, yeah, so we have the research that we've done, but we also have a lot of anecdotal stories, which are just lovely. I think my favorite one is there was a woman who was in a nursing home. I think this story was in the UK. Sister Mary told me about it. And she'd been nonverbal for, I don't know, we'll say months. And one of the songs that they were singing is My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean.
Mm.
So they sang the song every time they had the Sonus program, which is at least once a week, but ideally twice a week. So this woman would have heard this song over and over again. And so, at this one session, she starts to sing along. and she hadn't been really talking or singing. And then she started to tell the story about how her husband had been in the Merchant Marines and she'd traveled around with him the first year or two of their marriage. So it had obviously hit a nerve, as it were. And, this lovely story comes out of it. So, I mean, I don't think that result is obviously going to happen with every single person every
Yeah.
time. But there's lovely stories like that. But there's also just a general increase, like I said, in mood and communication amongst people that are doing the SOTUS program on a regular basis.
Right. So you have all kinds of courses and programs. Cognitive memory rehabilitation. What exactly is that?
Yeah. So that would be more for people that are in the early stages of dementia. So there would be lots of things that people could do. So there's currently no cure for dementia, but there are things that they can do, that people can do to try to stall it. So the cognitive memory rehab, and then there's cognitive stimulation therapy. That's also quite popular in Ireland, and there's also been lots of research in that. Um, that's basically, again, it's a group that would meet on a regular basis. So the same group of people that are around the same, level of dementia. And there's a lot of communication around a topic and a lot of fun as well. And this is also shown to really help communication to allow people to be able to keep the communication level that they're currently at.
Right. So it kind of arrest the decline in people's ability to communicate if these programs are started early enough.
Exactly, exactly. So, they're seen as a really good tool to help people do that. And that's exactly the goal of it, is to help them to be able to communicate well for as long as possible.
Right. And it's engaging people living with dementia in conversation. That seems to be an important part of it as well, isn't it?
It is, and that's run by another speech and language therapist, Dr. Susanna Dooley. So she created that program. She's focused on dementia her whole career. And so she's created that program, and it's very popular with nursing home staff because um, I really like it. Because instead of just focusing on the people with dementia and saying that they might have cognitive or communication challenges, it really forces each of us to look at ourselves and say, how could I be a better communication partner? So, for example, I tend to talk really, really fast. So if I'm always reminding myself not to do that, I'm going to be a better communication partner for people living with dementia or people in general. So I really like the idea that communication is a two-way street, that you're not just trying to help the person living with dementia, but that you're also looking at your own communication style. So it's a lovely course, and it really helps people with ideas that they can take into the workplace the next day.
Right. I'm guessing that the non-verbal aspects of communication would be hugely important as well in this
Very
area.
much so, very much so. Because as a lot of communication between people is nonverbal,
Mm.
even people without dementia.
Yeah.
And
It,
depending on your communication abilities, it becomes more and more important.
it must be very uplifting to hear and see people being verbal who haven't been.
Yes. Yes, I can only imagine that if you're leading that SONUS program, the joy that you must get if that sort of thing happens.
And
It'd be very satisfying, I would say.
Yeah.
it must be tremendous for the family members as well if they notice any improvement at all in the person.
Yeah. And then that's the other thing too that's lovely, is that once the SONUS practitioner finds out this song is a really nice trigger, a lot of times the family might know that, but maybe they don't, or they don't remember.
Yeah.
Or other staff might be told this, and then you can use that if the person's having like a difficult day, that you kind of bring that song or whatever it is into the daily life, and yeah, it can really improve their mood. Because we all know, like, if you hear your favorite song,
Yeah.
your day can go from horrible to wonderful almost immediately.
Mm. Yeah, it seems to trigger something in all of us, doesn't it? Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. And you have a number of dementia-friendly gardens. Maybe you could tell us a little about them.
Yeah, so we started kind of looking at the area of gardening in 2017. We had a garden together with a bunch of other partners at Bloom, and it was a dementia inclusive garden, which it was had lots of sensory elements to it, and it had lovely pictures. Um, Again, I'm not the expert, but I've learned a lot that sensory is very important for people with dementia, and also different things like having really contrasting colors because your eyesight might change as well with dementia. So what we've currently done is we've reached out to some community gardens around the place to see if we could include a dementia inclusive aspect to it. So we're working with a group in Balbriggan and one in down in Black Rock. So they're in their early stages, but once we kind of have those up and running, we'd like to, you know, have this offered to more community gardens around Ireland because gardening is so good for the brain
Oh, yeah.
and to allow people to garden at whatever level they can garden at.
Yeah, it's wonderfully therapeutic, I'd say. Just being out in the open air and if the weather's nice and all that in itself, that can be tremendous, can't it? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Right. And do you have the cafe network? Could tell us a little about that. You've a good number of them around the country, haven't you?
Yeah, we do. So the first Dementia Cafe in Ireland was rolled out in Donnybrook over 10 years ago. And I think the first ones were in the Netherlands. So the Netherlands, and then they were in the UK, and Engaging Dementia heard about this, and so they decided that they were going to try it too. And now there's currently well over 60 of them across the country. And just a quick shout out, anybody who's interested in finding a dementia cafe near them, we have a website called www.dementiacafe.ie, and we've got a finder on there with a locator. So, a dementia cafe is a community run, volunteer run monthly get together for people living with dementia and their family members to come together in a safe, warm atmosphere with like minded people. And it's always free of charge. It's there would be informational speakers at times, but there would also be music or arts and crafts, and then there would be lots of chat and tea and coffee and cake. And it's just a nice place for people to come together to share their knowledge, but also just to form a community with other people that are in the same situation because a dementia diagnosis can sometimes be a very lonely thing and it can be very isolating for the person with dementia and for the family members. So it's just a place where they can go and nobody has to worry about somebody telling the same story twice because everybody understands and more than understands, they're very they're completely okay with the situation and everybody's happy to be there. So I myself am on one of the dementia cafe committees and the week that we have the dementia cafe is it's usually the highlight of my week. It's really really nice and it's a lovely thing to do.
The peer support part of the cafes must be really uplifting for people with dementia, especially.
Yeah, we would sometimes have somebody come in that just got the diagnosis and they might be very upset, understandably. And then they can come and see somebody who's been living with dementia for years and having a very full and active life. And I think it kind of resets how people feel about it, which is great.
Exercise is probably very important, is it? Because there might be
It
a
is.
tendency to sit around not being very active for a long periods. So that can be therapeutic, I'd say as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So for the things that are good for the brain are the things that are good for the body. So exercise, proper food. I would also say I've just heard from a lot of different people that continuing to do what you love to do, your hobbies and your interests, even if you can't do them as you've always done them, maybe you need a little bit of support or help. But it's really important to keep doing the things that you like to do as long as you can, because that's also very, very good for the brain.
Right. Uh, you're hosting the big international conference coming up. Maybe you could tell us who topics might be covered or who might be coming to it.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I was gonna say this is where if I list one person and I forget
Ah,
to mention somebody, I'm in trouble.
right.
But we have a wonderful list of topics and speakers, so it's going to be amazing. Um, I think for me, the most important speakers and the most powerful speakers are always the people that are living with dementia that come along and speak at the conference. So we have a bunch of different people that are going to be coming along this year. We have Frank Golden. He's actually a Dubliner and he wrote a lovely book. So he's going to be coming along and talking about his dementia diagnosis, but how it didn't stop him from writing a book. We have Charlie Drake is going to be coming up from Cork. He also recently created a documentary down in Cork with a group of uh, people down there. And he's also going to be talking about staying active and following your interests. He's very active in the North Cork Dementia Alliance, which is a group of activities, including a dementia cafe. We also have Agnes Houston coming over from Scotland. And she has a really interesting story to tell because her dementia um, it mostly is coming with some sensory challenges that she has around, vision and hearing and mobility. So she's going to talk to us about, sensory challenges around dementia and some, practical tips and ideas about how you can kind of get around them. We also have interesting sessions around music therapy, around um, yeah, kind of anything you can think about. Medical research that's being done. So yeah, anybody who's interested can look on our website, www.engagingdementia.ie. And as I said, we have discounted tickets for people living with dementia and their family members. So we'd welcome them to come along as well. And yeah, anybody has any questions, they can reach out to us.
Right. And have you any other events coming up in the next while?
Events per se, not really. That's kind of our big event of the year, and it takes a lot of planning because we're a really small team of only four people.
Right.
So we tend to have that event, and then maybe we'll do something like we tend to try to do a nice event sometime in the autumn. But nothing planned at the moment other than the conference. But we're really looking forward to the conference, which is going to be in Athlone, and it'll be good.
Right. And how are you financed?
We get some funding from the HSC, which we're very, very thankful for. Um, but we would also charge for our courses and for our the conference. So we basically, again, are thankful to the HSC for the funding we do get because that allows us to keep the prices, very, very fair and as low as possible. Our main goal is to train as many people as possible and have as many people come to the conference as possible. So we would never want the price to be a reason why somebody couldn't come and learn more about dementia.
Right. And the carers, they'd be both professional carers and family members
Yeah,
and so on. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Right. As we're coming to the end, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, just a little shout out about our resources.
Yeah.
So during the COVID years, our conference was online. So we have a lot of really good videos that are on our YouTube channel. So people can just go onto YouTube and look for Engaging Dementia. And then the videos that we've been able to store there will pop up and people can review them. So we have really interesting things around communication. We've got some nice videos around activities people can do in the home. We have some videos around the different types of dementia. So, anyhow, really good resource there. We also have Spotify playlists that we've created in a bunch of different genres. So, you don't have to have a Spotify license to access them. You just log into Spotify and again look for Engaging Dementia, and then you can play the playlists. And we also have resources on our website Again, that's www.engagingdementia.ie. So if you click into there and look in our resource section, we have lots of really good materials there too that people can find interesting.
And you have an online shop as well, don't you?
We also have an online shop, exactly. We have some books that are there for sale around the area of dementia. Most of the time, what we do is we import those bulk, so we're just selling them at cost, and we're not making a very big profit on them, just to kind of cover our costs. But they're books that we think are important for people to be able to access.
And you have and it sells CDs and DVDs as well, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, people can check out our shop if they're looking for some additional resources.
Right. So, unless you've anything to add, I suppose we've come to the end. Thank you very much, Kim.
Thank you, Patrick and John. I really enjoyed
You're
it.
very welcome.
Right.
And thank you.
Thanks.